Yo, what's up guys? Today in this video I'm going to tell you about the best, in my experience, nootropics for productivity, okay, and general life and like having enough energy to greet the day with enthusiasm and not like always feeling tired all the time. Like if you use this combination, which I have personally tested over, I don't know, dozens of different combinations, you'll have lots of energy all the time, mental clarity, like quick wit, just like me, and energy to work out and fill that like giant hole of neediness inside of you with material things like money, travel, and friendship. Yeah, okay, so anyway, don't go anywhere, right? Okay, so this video we're gonna talk about nootropics that are very good for productivity, and in particular my preferred combination of nootropics that will make you super productive and like totally make everything in your life easier. Okay, so before we get into that, if you like videos that are like this, maybe a little bit non-mainstream, some of them a little bit weird about some topics other than like eat vegetables, exercise for 30 minutes a day, and 3 sets of 10 for, 75% of your 1 rep maximum. Okay, enough of that. Like, that's everywhere. Like, subscribe to my channel. I have way better stuff than that. Like, that's like level 1. I'm on like level 100. Anyway, subscribe. I've got a digital marketing channel as well. Subscribe there for making money online videos. And that's it. Okay, so best nootropics for productivity. Number 1, Modafinil. Okay, I've made a video on this before. Modafinil is a drug that was developed in, I think, the 80s by the US government to give to fighter pilots so that they could stay awake and function properly even after being awake for 48 hours. Because I guess they do like 48-hour shifts as fighter pilots, and like on hour 47, if you get called for a mission that's 12 hours long, you need to be awake and functioning properly. Okay, now I believe they give them amphetamines. They don't give them modafinil anymore, but modafinil is very good. Here's why. If you take it in the morning, we'll give you like nice, clean energy, not like speedy, you're not like cracked out like Ritalin or Adderall or anything like that. It's not like a super hardcore stimulant. In fact, I don't think it's a stimulant at all. I think it's something called a eugeroic, I'm not really sure. But basically, like, it makes it so you don't feel the need to sleep. Now, we don't want to take this, like if you took it at night, you couldn't sleep, right? It's got a 15-hour half-life. But when you take it in the morning, you get like a nice 2-hour kick of this like super crazy focus and like intense energy. And then once that 2-hour kick wears off, you still have, I don't know, 10 hours of like I said, clean, productive energy where you can just continue at a much faster pace than if you didn't take it, where you would get tired throughout the day, you might feel like you need a nap in the afternoon. It's just, life is better on modafinil. Okay, just trust me on that or not. When I was taking it, I would always take it on an empty stomach because I had been doing OMAD for many years. So I would take 50 milligrams a day, which is an extremely low dose. You guys are welcome to experiment with more. However, I would recommend that you start with 50 and you take it on an empty stomach. And then you can always take more if you feel like you need more. Like I could probably take more at this point if I wanted to, but I don't. Okay, modafinil, number 1. Number 2 is a drug called centrophenazine. Okay, what is centrophenazine? You've probably never heard of it. It is a drug that, all right, so like, probably should have done a little research before I made this video because I haven't researched Centro in a long time. But the way that I heard about it was through like a life extension forum, and basically like how it kind of got put on the map in the nootropics community was that there was a study where they gave centrophenazine to some rats, because every study is tested on rats, and the centro rats lived for 30% longer than the non-centro rats, right? So I read this, I was like, okay, great, I would love to live 30% longer, scaled for a human, whatever. So I bought some, started taking it. Very adventurous like that. Like, I don't need human studies. Like, it's good enough for the rats, it's good enough for me. Your mileage may vary. Disclaimer, 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 blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I started taking it, and what I noticed from taking centrophenazine is that it allows you to get into a state of focus. Like I'm talking like deep dive focus, like wormhole type focus easily, okay? So I remember when I was in LA is when I first kind of started taking it seriously. It was a couple of years ago. I was working from home for a friend of mine, or we were working together, I guess. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So when I would take it in the morning with modafinil, I would notice that like whatever I had been working on, when it kicked in, I would like blink my eyes, and like 3 hours later, I would like wake up and be like, oh my God, what did I just do for the past 3 hours? Right? Now, I had to be very careful that when it kicked in, I was working on something productive. Like I was actually doing tasks related to the business that we had, as opposed to just like browsing Reddit, right? Or like whatever. I don't know, I was very big into Reddit back then. But if I was on Reddit and I was like in that wormhole, I would just get deeper and deeper and deeper into the wormhole until like it started to wear off a few hours later. And I was like, oh my God, like what just happened? Like how did I just waste, like where'd the 4 hours go, you know? So that's centrophenazine, highly recommended. It's fairly cheap as well. Number 3, creatine. Okay, now creatine is normally thought of as like a workout supplement. Okay, it's an amino acid. It's not a drug. It's not a steroid. Like, is it a drug? No, it's an amino acid. Amino acids are not drugs. So creatine, it's the bomb. They've done, I don't know, 500 studies on it or something like that. And they've shown that like cognition is also improved on creatine. So like anecdotally, I've noticed that when I take creatine in the morning, like let's say before a workout, I'm just like a little bit more verbally fluent, I'm a little bit smarter, and I just like have more energy as well to sustain me throughout the day for like whatever I want. Which correlates kind of to like the physical aspect of taking creatine, where if I take, let's say I do whatever some workout, and I don't take creatine, I'm going to do it less efficiently than if I take creatine. I'm gonna have a couple extra reps that I can feel like I'm doing. I'm going to I'm gonna be able to like run for a little bit longer, maybe run a little bit faster, have like greater power output as well. Which is all supported by science. Like, I've been taking it for years, like way before I even heard of any of these studies. And just in my experience, like I noticed that it works better. However, make sure you drink a lot of water on it because it will make you about 2 to 3 times as thirsty as when you don't take it. Okay, so what do we got? Modafinil, centrophenazine, creatine, Noopept. Okay, now Noopept, how do I explain this? All right, so there's these drugs called racetams, which are these it's more popular in Russia. But basically these drugs, the best way to explain it is that they increase blood flow to your brain, right? Like the original one, I think is called Piracetam. And as far as I recall, it increases blood flow to a part of your brain called the corpus callosum, right? You've got your 2 hemispheres of your brain. Your corpus callosum is like a thin sheet of flesh that connects them. And as far as I recall, that is, that part of your brain is what allows the 2 hemispheres of your brain to communicate with one another. And I think they've done studies on people who have had that part cut, and they can't, there's all these things that they can't do, like the left and right side of their bodies can't communicate, whatever. Anyway, who cares about that, right? The point is that when you take it, what are the effects? Makes you overall a little bit smarter, makes your verbal fluency increase. When I write a lot also, so if I'm sitting and I'm writing something, occasionally as a writer you'll be writing and then you'll think to yourself oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Or how do I say this thing that I want to say? And I've noticed that when I take Noopept, the question is answered pretty much immediately, right? I still have to stop and think about it, but I'm able to decide on the proper way of saying things much quicker. Now, is that maybe improving my decision-making process instead of my verbal fluency? Maybe, I don't know. But I'm gonna say here that it's improving my verbal fluency, okay? Maybe the decision-making process as well, I'm not sure. Plus, I notice a little bit of an extra kick of energy as well when I take Noopept. Half-life is fairly short. I want to say it's like 45 minutes-ish, but I notice an effect on it for about 3 to 4 hours, which means I do take it multiple times throughout the day if necessary, depending on whatever I'm doing. Like today, for example, I took it in the morning before coming to work out. I'm going to go back and hang out with a friend of mine, so I'm probably going to take it again to like make sure I'm on the ball. And then in the afternoon, I might take it again to do my second workout. And then in the evening, depending on if I feel like doing any more work, I might take it again to just make that workload easier. It's totally safe. It's been very well studied. Racetams in general are very good. The personal reason that I like Noopept is because the dose that you need to take, like the effective dose is like 10 milligrams, which is like this much, right? I take a little bit more, 50, right? But like with Piracetam, you need to take like 3 grams or something, or 800 milligrams. It tastes awful. It's just, Noopept is much easier. Cool. All right, so what do we got? Modafinil, Phenazine, Creatine, Noopept, and then Phenibut. I like Phenibut, you know, it's very, just relaxes you, you know. I would say like, in other videos I've said take a gram, but for productivity, I would say don't take a gram, because you're gonna feel like it's gonna kind of get you like a little bit high, and you're not going to be able to like focus as well, because you're just gonna feel so good. You're like, I don't need to work on this, like I feel great, you know, like I'm just gonna sit here and stare at the wall. Like that's totally good for me. Let's say like stick to like half a gram, and it'll just help kind of like loosen you up to the point where it'll expand your creativeness, let's say. And you'll be able to like tap into areas of your mental energy, right, that you normally wouldn't be able to. Okay, it's great for social situations as well, but this video is about productivity. And then the final one, which I really should have like talked about first, because in my opinion it's like the most important. You know, if I had to choose one, I would choose this one, and that is Wellbutrin, or bupropion, whatever. This is an antidepressant that is kind of like less popular these days, in favor of like other ones, but the reason I like it, side effect profile is extremely low, as opposed to like SSRIs, which have like lots of sexual side effects and like lots of like really awful things that they do to you. Bupropion, it's like an appetite suppressant, so you feel like eating less, gives you more energy. And I would say the most important part when it comes to productivity is that it allows you to feel like you don't care about doing things that feel like a grind, I guess. It makes it easier for you to like submit to the grind, I guess is the best way of putting it. So like I started taking this when I went to college a long time ago, and you know, back in the day I was very moody, right? I don't know if that surprises anybody, but like I was very moody back in the day. Didn't want to do anything that I didn't want to do. Just like moody, I guess is the best way of putting it. Didn't want to go to college, didn't want to do any of that. And then, you know, eventually I like came around, like 18, 19 years old. If you're moody and you don't want to do anything, like eventually you're gonna have to like move back in with your parents, and started seeing a psychiatrist and like prescribed me Wellbutrin. I was super like anti, but anyway, started taking it, had no choice. And that stuff like really helped a lot. Like, so the point, I guess, is that one day when I started taking it, I got back into school, and normally when I would sit in class, I would sit there and like think to myself nonstop, like, why am I learning this? Why am I here? I hate this. I didn't take notes, didn't want to be there, I didn't ask questions. But when I would take Wellbutrin or bupropion, whatever it's called, I would like, it was almost like I was like possessed by like a robot. Like I would be just like guided to the front seat of the classroom, and the teacher would start talking, and it like the like spirit of Wellbutrin would like make me pull out my notebook and put it on my desk, and I would take notes the entire time without feeling like I was wasting my life. So on the one hand, you could say that's dangerous because you could actually end up wasting your life with stupid things. But on the other hand, if consciously you know that you should be doing something, some sort of behavior, and you're just unable to like bring yourself to do it, I think Wellbutrin is incredibly powerful for getting you over that like hump of, I don't know how even to say it, like resistance to doing things that are a grind, right? Resistance to doing things that are not immediately pleasurable for you, okay? Like I ran out a few days ago and I didn't make videos for like 5 days. I didn't work, I didn't do anything, which, all right, it's not good. Like I probably could have done it anyway, but just because I didn't have it, I was like, oh, I ran out and like, I don't feel like doing anything, right? So anyway, it's really good. It like boosts, I would say, the effects of everything else, makes everything else better. Definitely go to a doctor, ask for that stuff. Yeah, that's really it. Cool. So if you guys have any questions about any of the nootropics that I talked about in this video, leave me a comment in the comment section. If you want to see more videos about stuff like this, subscribe. Go subscribe to my digital marketing channel. And that's it. Peace.